the thing is, many of our strategies are presented in broad daylight at GTC years in advance of when we do it. 2.5 years ago, I introduced the operating system of the AI factory, and it's called Dynamo. Dynamo, as you know, is a piece of instrument, a machine that was created by Siemens to turn essentially water into electricity. And Dynamo powered the factory of the last industrial revolution. So I thought it was the perfect name for the operating system of the next industrial revolution, the factory of that. And so inside Dynamo, the fundamental technology is disaggregated inference. Jason, I know you're super technical.
Absolutely.
I know it.
I'll let you take this one. Go ahead and define it for the audience. I don't want to step on you.
Yeah, thank you. I knew you wanted to jump in there for a second. But it's disaggregated inference, which means the pipeline, the processing pipeline of inference is extremely complicated. In fact, it is the most complicated computing problem today. Incredible scale, lots of mathematics of different shapes and sizes. And we came up with the idea that you would disaggregate parts of the processing such that some of it can run on some GPUs, rest of it can run on different GPUs. And that led to us realizing that maybe even disaggregated computing could make sense, that we could have different heterogeneous nature of computing. That same sensibility led us to Mellanox.
Yep.
You know, today, NVIDIA's computing is spread across GPUs, CPUs, switches, scale-up switches, scale-out switches, networking processors, and now we're going to add Grok to that, and we're going to put the right workload on the right chips. You know, we just really evolved from a GPU company to an AI factory company.
I mean, I think that was probably the biggest takeaway that I had. You're seeing this fundamental disaggregation where we've gone from a GPU, and now you have this complexion of all these different options that will eventually exist. The thing that you guys said on stage, or you said on stage, was I would like the high value inference people to take a listen to this, and 25% of your data center space, you said, should be allocated to this Grok LPU GPU combo.
We should add Grok to about 25% of the Vera Rubins in the data center.
So can you tell us about how the industry looks at this idea of now basically creating this next generation form of disaggregated prefill, decode, disag, and how people, do you think, will react to it?
Yeah, and take a step back. And at the time that we added this, we went from large language model processing to agentic processing. Now, when you're running an agent, you're accessing working memory, you're accessing long-term memory, you're using tools, you're really beating up on storage really hard. You have agents working with other agents. Some of the agents are very large models, some of them are smaller models, some of them are diffusion models, some of them are auto-regressive models. And so there are all kinds of different types of models inside this data center. We created Vera Rubin to be able to run this extraordinarily diverse workload. My sense is, and so we used to be a one rack company, we now added 4 more racks.
Right.
So NVIDIA's TAM, if you will, increased from whatever it was to probably something, call it, 33%, 50% higher. Now, part of that 33% or 50%, a lot of it's going to be storage processors. It's called Bluefield. Some of it will be, a lot of it I'm hoping, will be Grok processors, and some of it will be CPUs. And they're all going, and a lot of it's going to be networking processors. And so all of this is going to be running basically the computer of the AI revolution called agents,
right?
The operating system of modern industry.
What about embedded applications? So, my daughter's teddy bear at home wants to talk to her. What goes in there? Is it a custom ASIC, or does there end up becoming much more kind of a broader set of TAM with developing tools that are maybe different for different use cases at the edge and an embedded application
We
set?
think that there's 3 computers in the problem at the largest scale when you take a step back. There's one computer that's really about training the AI model, creating the AI. Another computer for evaluating it. Depending on the type of problem you're having, like for example, you look around, there's all kinds of robots and cars and things like that. You have to evaluate these robots inside a virtual gym that represents the physical world. So it has to be software that obeys the laws of physics. And that's a second computer. We call that Omniverse. The third computer is the computer at the edge, the robotics computer. That robotics computer, one of them could be self-driving car, another one's a robot, another one could be a teddy bear, little tiny one for a teddy bear. One of the most important ones is one that we're working on that basically turns the telecommunications base stations into part of the AI infrastructure. So now it's a $2 trillion industry. All of that in time will be transformed into an extension of the AI infrastructure. And so radios will become edge devices, factories, warehouses, you name it. And so there are these three basic computers. All of them, are going to be necessary.
Jensen, last year, I think you were ahead of the rest of the world in saying inference isn't going to 1,000x.
Just last year?
Yes.
Brad, you're hurting my feelings.
Is it going to 1 million X? Is going to 1 billion X?
Yeah.
Right? And I think people at the time thought it was pretty hyperbolic because the world was still focused on pre-scaling, on training. Here we are. Now inference has exploded. We're inference constrained. You announced an inference factory that I think is leading edge, that's going to be 10x better in terms of throughput to the next factory. But yet, if I listen to what the chatter is out there, it's that your inference factory is going to cost 40 or 50 billion, and the alternatives, the custom ASICs, AMD, others, are going to cost 25 to 30 billion, and you're going to lose share. So why don't you talk to us? What are you seeing? How do you think about share? And does it make sense for all these folks to pay something that's a 2x premium to what others are marketing?
The big takeaway, the big idea is that you should not equate the price of the factory and the price of the tokens, the cost of the tokens. It is very likely that the $50 billion factory, and in fact, I can prove it, that the $50 billion factory will generate for you the lowest cost tokens. And the reason for that is because we produce these tokens at extraordinary efficiency. 10 times, the difference between 50 billion, now it turns out 20 billion is just land, power, and shell, right?
Right.
And then on top of that, you have storage anyways, networking anyways, you got CPUs anyways, you got servers anyways, you got cooling anyways. The difference between that GPU being 1x price or half x price is not between 50 billion and 30 billion. Right. Pick your favorite number, but let's say between 50 billion and 40 billion. Okay. That is not a large percentage when the $50 billion data center is actually 10 times the throughput.
Right.
Jensen,
that's the reason why I said that even for most chips, if you can't keep up with the state of the technology and the pace that we're running, even when the chips are free, it's not cheap enough.